Hi guys, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley and today I'm bringing you a preview of Shrewsbury Comic Con 2025, recorded at the amazing Shropshire Business Suite podcast studio. If you are looking to get into business, if you have a business, you want to learn about business, there's lots of webinars, seminars, talks, amazing places, plus a podcast studio at the Shropshire Business Suite. If you want to create a podcast that's surrounding your business or a podcast in general, that's the place to do it. It's a professional podcast studio, and that's where we've been recording an awful lot. They're great friends of ours, and we're very grateful for that. And also, I'm experienced in the field of podcasting, editing, producing. So we're looking at maybe including my services in a flat rate of if you want to hire that studio. So if you do want to get involved, go to Shropshire Business Suite. They're on social media, and there's a website too. Thank you so much to organiser of Shrewsbury Comic Con, Nick, for helping organise this, and the amazing Charlie Adlard, co-creator of The Walking Dead and advocate for art in Shrewsbury and Shropshire. He's been to many Comic Cons around the world, and he's going to tell you all about it right now. Like, we've got loads of great insight into what Comic Cons feel like. And now I've been part of helping out Shrewsbury Comic Con since the beginning. And I got to tell you, you may laugh and be like, a Comic Con in Shrewsbury. It was full from the very beginning. It was held at Shrewsbury Football Ground. I've gone with my handy H6 and had to walk around. I've also set up a studio there, and every single time I've been there, it's been full to the walls. Really, really exciting event that is growing. Only this year, it's personal. It's in town. It's right in the middle of town. It's going to be in the bottom section of the Darwin Festival, the Darwin Centre, and this at St Mary's as well. And I'm going to have mics at two different places. I'm really excited to be super involved with this event because last time it offered me such a great relief in the way that it made me realize that what I do matters, because it brought a smile to other people, and so I want to reward that. I want to sort of give something back. So yeah, this is going to be good. You've got, one of the co-creators of one of the highest grossing independent comic books of all time, and an organizer of an event that's growing and growing and growing in a place that is a hub for business in Shrewsbury and Shropshire alike. So what could not be liked about this episode? I'm just waffling now, guys. Enjoy the episode. I'll catch you at the end because there's things that we're doing with the show and things I need to let you know about. So make sure you stick around after the feature interview. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your preview to Shrewsbury Comic Con 2025. Enjoy. Every time I think of that, I think of what was said and done. I don't think there's much change. I think I'm still the same. Some people disagree, but I don't care because I am me. Stick to what you can. Stick to what you plan. Hi guys, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. We're coming to you today from Shropshire Business Suite, right in the heart of Shrewsbury. It's a place where you can come and grow your business, and they got this amazing podcast studio right in the back, nestled there, where we've been using it with a biscuit for a few weeks now, and it's become kind of almost like a home for us. I love using this space, and today we're talking to you guys about. I want to talk about event growth, because I think Shrewsbury is a great place, and Shropshire on the whole, for lots of innovators when it comes to event growth. And today I've got the organizer of Shrewsbury Comic Con, Nick. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm good. Thank you. Yourself?
And we have Shrewsbury's very own Charlie Adlard. We've just been talking about how he just can't hide from people anymore. It's just like people just say hello, and you like. I mean, it must come from wherever you go now. Charlie.
Oh God, I just can't move.
He's the Ringo Starr of Shrewsbury. He's just everywhere.
Surely the Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr. I mean, they're all pretty big, aren't they?
Oh, I see. Drumming reference. Sorry, I was a bit slow there. Yeah.
That's what I did there. That was a lucky coincidence. Actually, I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode because my mixer hates my phone. They don't talk to each other very well. We're talking about Shrewsbury Comic Con, Nick. I love the fact that we jumped on this quite early, right from the inception of Comic Con, because it's grown into a nice growth now. It's a nice little upward growth of the event, would you say?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, this year there's quite a lot of change. But I suppose, as the saying goes, the more things change, the more things stay the same. So we're changing and bringing it to the centre of Shrewsbury this time. So we're in 2 venues. We're in St Mary's Church, and we're also in the lower floor of the Darwin Centre, which we're taking over completely. If it's not a shop, it's Shrewsbury Comic Con for that particular day. But yeah, I think it's part of it is growth. I mean, the venue at the football ground is amazing. And as you know, Terry would bend over backwards. Terry and the team bend over backwards for you to help. But it's a fixed space. And if you don't drive, it can be a bit of a pain to get to the football ground, from the centre of town and stuff. Yeah. So I thought, let's make it a bit more central. Let's make it a bit more accessible to people. And also, we're helping Megastore Collectibles to celebrate their 10-year anniversary of trading. So why not be next to them as well?
Megastore is the DVD store is amazing, an amazing space. It reminds me of I grew up in Wrexham, and we had Phase 1 Records, and it was like a place where you can go in, buy CDs, go upstairs, flick through the games and comic books, whatever it is, and that's what that place reminds me of. It's kind of nostalgic, right? Is that kind of the thing that you used to seeing, and we're kind of losing, aren't we, Charlie? Those kind of stores that you can.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been. It might be a product of our age, obviously, but I've never been a digital guy. I've always still liked the physicality Absolutely. Of books, comics, records. Yeah. I'm the sort of guy that I've got Apple Music. I'll download loads of stuff, stream it, whatever. But then I'll go out and buy the vinyl off it. Things like that. I still like to own it doesn't feel real to me unless I own it physically.
There are certain albums I think need to be heard on vinyl as well. I mean, Wu-Tang's 36 Chambers, for example. That sounds perfect on vinyl. I mean, like you said, you can listen to it on your phone whenever you want to go, but if you want to actually experience the crackle and the feel,
the physical sort of being able to put it on, and not just vinyl, CDs, anything like that.
I think Eminem's just come out as a closet cassette hoarder. He's got he collects cassettes from he's got his wall full of just cassettes, and I love that.
Wow. Those things break down after a while as well, don't they?
Yeah,
it's cassette tapes and stuff.
It's quite eerie when it starts going elongating.
Well, that's the only thing I can't relate to is cassettes, because the sound quality is the worst.
Yeah,
and it's the smallest, so you don't even get the artwork. So I've never got why cassettes have sort of stayed or come back into popularity, as opposed to why they've taken over from weirdly CDs.
Yeah. I mean, there was also the mini discs as well. There's so many great innovations.
That's going back a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, mini discs.
But I think sometimes if you're part of streaming services and you buy a certain track or you buy a certain film, they can always take that film out of their library, and then where are you?
Exactly.
So I think I embrace the new media, but if it's films I really like, I've got them on DVD.
Well, that DVD Megastore in the Darwin Centre was great. I was in there the other day actually, and they had, I saw, as I was walking by, I saw a Futurama comic, and remember Tom Bruno, who we spoke to on Thorskin years ago at my house. Yeah. He loves Futurama, so I had to take a picture of it. But I was like, they had like laser discs and collectible items in there. I mean, we don't get stores like that very often. Everything's gone online now, so you're very well good to sort of champion that. And
I think so. I mean, Megastore Collectibles, as they are now, sponsored the cosplay competition for the last 2 cons, and this year we're working closer together, so that they're actually sponsors of the whole event. So, and it's good to work with people in this industry, people who are into, I want to say the geek industry or the nerd industry, and I'm not using that as a pejorative. I'm a geek, I'm a nerd myself.
Yeah. We know what you mean.
But
what's the difference?
There is a difference. I did actually write a paper on it back in the day.
Oh my god! Right, okay.
Isn't nerd more intelligence based, whereas geek is more like culture?
I think geek is if you can write a scientific paper on it, geek is the word to use. I think. I'm not
right into the Shrewsbury Biscuit, guys. Watch what it is.
That's interesting, because I've never really known the difference. So if you've actually written a paper on it.
Well, I started writing it as part of my PhD, which I had to unfortunately withdraw out of. But there's lots of research on it, and lots of fandom uses the word geekdom rather than nerd. So I'm not quite sure what the difference is really.
I thought I might just interject and let you know I Googled it. And it says here that while nerd and geek are often used interchangeably, there are subtle distinctions. A nerd typically refers to someone deeply passionate about academic pursuits or specific knowledge areas, often perceived as socially awkward. A geek is more focused on enthusiasm for a specific hobby or interest, like technology or science fiction, and maybe more socially adept or comfortable. So there you go. But I think it's nice to be a part of something. I mean, people use sort of fandoms as kind of almost a negative incel thing at the moment because of what's going on with Marvel and the anti-Disney stuff. But like, I love being a part of something, a part of a conversation. You know, you must feel like when you go to like Comic Con, Walking Dead events, like where people can be a part of that thing and they can talk about. Yeah, you're in that conversation. You're part of that group. I can't believe we're in a world where that has become a negative thing, because I always felt great that I could sit and I'd be like, oh, do you remember when they released Aliens versus Batman and Robin? And you can have that conversation. I read that one. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. Like,
well, I think it's become more negative only because it's become so popular.
Yeah, the ratio of idiot to normal has grown because of...
no, absolutely. Yeah. You know, now it's in the mainstream. Everything in the mainstream hits more than, you know, something that's in the on the fringe. So... Yeah. So suddenly the mainstream media is aware of all this sort of stuff because it makes billions and billions of dollars.
But I think fandom also reflects life. You know, there are idiots and there are trolls in everyday life. And the fandom is just sort of reflective of that in terms of the ratio. You hear more from the trolls because they're more damaging, but there are lots of good people out there still in fandoms.
Yeah. And what I love is when you get something like, I don't know, we'll use like Stranger Things as an example. Big, massive Netflix show, raking in the money. It's easily one of the most watchable. I love that Stranger Things. But like, there are comic books and there are things there are collectibles and there are things that like they reverted backwards. They've already done it. They've already made it. It's one of the biggest things on the planet. But yet they want to offer like something to the people that collect the physical things. And I think that's really nice. Quite poetic, isn't it? You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
What are you going to be offering this year with Comic Con that kind of is both? So I guess like your typical Comic Con and maybe something that you've evolved into. Are you going to change things up, and how's it going to look this year?
I think probably the biggest difference from the visitor perspective is it's now free entry to go into the Comic Con. And I think the reason for that is I wanted to have an event in the centre of Shrewsbury you could take your family to at low cost or no cost. You can look around the stalls. You can go to the Q&As, so the panels, Charlie be part of one of those. You know, you can talk to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Yes. You can play some of the hosted gaming we've got going on. You can paint Warhammer. You can join the Mega Draw, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a bit. You can, for a small donation to charity, you can enter the cosplay competition. So there's all of the things that you're used to from a Comic Con. But I wanted to create an event that was perhaps a bit kinder to people, because times are still hard, aren't they? You know, the cost of living has
really nice of you,
ridiculous. And I think to have an event like that, have it free is good. And if you have got a few quid, well, why not spend it at some of the local businesses who will be there on the day, you know?
I got to thank you actually for the last Comic Con, the one in October, because I was a bit, I was struggling a bit. I'd started a new job. I'd lost a new job. My life was in absolute turmoil. The biscuit was like the last thing on my mind at the moment at that time. And you offered me this light, this beacon. It said genuinely, like, and I turned up there. Whenever I set up a table, I'm always quite shy to start off with. I'm kind of like, oh, who I am. You'll see me walk around and say hello to people. But then I sit down and I see people pleased to see me, you know, very happy to see me and want to talk to me, and they want to be a part of what we're doing. And it kind of reignites the passion of why I do what I do. And that Comic Con was actually a really good turning point for me, because I was like, no, we'll stay a little bit longer, I think. So I want to thank you for that, because it was genuinely one of the greatest days of that year of going out and getting content.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think the having the biscuit there and those interviews that you did with the stars, I think that they were, you know, some of the highlight of the con as well. So thank you as well.
I could see some of the people like itching to get out, like genuinely like really excited to come and talk to me, and I was like, oh, Thank you. Really nice. These are things I'm working on, by the way, with my listeners, with my therapist. I want to choose a biscuit, but
fair play too.
I think Comic Cons, I think we'll all agree, offer something individual to everyone. I mean, whether you're a cosplayer, whether you've been waiting to get something signed by Charlie, you've never met Charlie before, you want to get that limited.
Surely everyone's met me here. Now.
I remember being
see me running around the bloody quarry every day.
I remember being at Drawn. It was a couple of years ago, I think. I think it was the first one at the Flax Mill. It's the one where you're doing the.
I was doing testing the pens.
Yeah, that's right. And there's this woman, and I'm sorry, lady, I don't know your name. I'm going to call you out though. She was like, "Who is he? What does he do?" And I was like, "Are you insane?" She was the one. She was the one.
The one and only.
She's the one, yeah.
But I think also the good thing about cons as well is that there's something there for everyone. And if there's something for everyone, there's going to be people there that you don't know or don't really sort of vibe with. And I'm going to a big Comic Con in Liverpool in May, and I'm going there for the Starship Troopers guys, and because they're all there. And Casper Van Dien is actually doing a showing of Starship Troopers in the evening, and he's going to tell stories and stuff as it goes along. So I'm sort of there for that, but there's the people there. I'm not so much involved in the Pokemon world. I'm not so much involved in the manga world either. But there's people that'll be there as well. So I think there's something there for everyone.
Absolutely. I interviewed a Nazgul. Didn't it? Ticked it off the list. Yeah. I think Comic Cons are a place to sort of release your inner geek in a safe space. For example, we just got into the God of War games, and I know it's blasphemy, but I just found out that it's Teal, Christopher Judge does the voice. And I was just like, oh my God, I used to love SG-1. My wife's looking at me like, what? I loved Stargate SG-1, and I loved that show. Like, that's like something I don't always talk about, because I feel like people may be looking like, oh my God, he is a proper geek, like that guy, that Whiteley guy. But I feel like if I go to Comic-Con and I see other people that like that thing, we can be in that conversation.
Yeah, I didn't get into Stargate until actually the last couple of years. I think over COVID.
Show. That's really
I
good.
know it's ridiculously good, but I watched it the wrong way around. I watched Atlantis first.
Oh no,
because the pilot happened to come on TV, so I watched Atlantis first, and I saw that, and I thought, right,
you went from the bottom of the hill, and you were
exactly, yeah. Then I watched SG-1, and then I watched what's the space one?
Oh, I don't know, because the original SG-1 was like where they had all the money and all the quality, and then they kind of just.
I mean, I enjoyed all of them.
Yeah, but that's for you. That's
for me, and it's different for you. And that's the thing about Comic Con; it's something different for everyone. Everyone has different tastes, and it's okay. It's okay if you like something I don't like. It's okay for me to dislike something that you like. We'll just get on with it. Let's see what we have in common, and let's work from there.
Exactly. That's a world we all want to live in, isn't it?
Well, hopefully, yeah.
Now, Comic Cons all around the world are all different, and you've been to your fair few, I imagine, Charlie.
Yeah.
Have you been to the big ones, the San Diego's and the New Yorks? Have you been to them?
Well, I used to go to San Diego every year, literally. But that's pre-Walking Dead. Well, no, I mean pre-Walking Dead. That's my career is defined. Pre-Walking Dead, post-Walking Dead. Because I'd go there for networking. I realised the value of spending a lot of money to get over there.
Get face-to-face with.
But it's invaluable getting that face-to-face with all the editors. So. Yeah. And obviously, when I was doing The Walking Dead, I'd be going fairly regularly. I haven't been for a while. That's probably half because The Walking Dead's finished and my services are, shall we say, no longer required. And also politically. Let's not get into that now.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be going back to the States for
at least the next 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, the big ones. I mean, I was a massive regular attendance of Angoulême in France, which is probably my, no offense, my favorite show of the on the calendar. Just
Charlie was a part of Shrewsbury Comic Con,
but only because. I mean, I'm a big fan of what they call bande dessinée, which is French comic books, but also it's the sheer size of it is nearly as big as San Diego, but it's unlike San Diego. It's just about comics. San Diego is obviously all multimedia, buoyed by Hollywood.
Chris Pratt walking around and
exactly.
Norman Reedus.
You don't get any of that nonsense at Angoulême. The French wouldn't stand for it.
I love that. Sigourney who? No, sorry. That's cool. That's cool. But I guess what the point I was trying to round to is you've seen all these amazing big blockbuster Comic Cons that have got millions to spend, and then we've got this thing growing in Shrewsbury. Are you enthused about what you've seen over the last couple of years?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, I've always said I much prefer to do the small shows all the time. I mean, when I say small, I don't mean small in sort of ambition, just small in, intimate, I suppose, for want of a better word. And whether you're talking about Shrewsbury Comic Con or, shall we say, the two biggest shows in the UK, and they're not big in comparison to your massive multimedia ones. If you're talking pure comic books, there's one in Harrogate called Thought Bubble, which is in November, and again all about comics. And one of which I'm slightly biased because I'm a patron of it, but there's one in the Lake District as well at the end of September called the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. Again, not huge, but so much better because both of them are just about what we do. And
but people will travel for that.
Yeah,
they want to.
Totally. Yeah,
they want to go to an MCM or what's the other one? The was it MovieCon or whatever it's called?
I don't know. They're all kind of blended, massive.
We'll go there.
Corporate bit of nonsense.
I remember I wanted to get. I forgot the actor's name, but Arnold Rimmer from Red Dwarf. I wanted to get his Chris Barry, lovely guy, right? But I queued up for about an hour to get his autograph. Do you know what I mean? And this is he's an obscure actor from a comedy I used to love when I was about 10. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's British Empire as well. Don't forget.
Yeah.
But
there is that. Yeah.
Well, again, not to start slagging off various comic-based shows or whatever. The two sort of almost worst shows I ever did were at the height of The Walking Dead, which a company set themselves up to do Walking Dead shows, and for a couple of years it just was in the States. Then it came over to Earl's Court for a couple of years, and I attended both of them. And I got to admit, it was a fairly soulless experience. Literally just tables and tables of the stars. And that's it. And just people queuing for hours on end just to get an autograph,
I guess that's what
it just felt like, why are you here? you really are. You've paid money to get into this thing, and then you're paying money to get signings from each individual actor or whatever, and then that's it, and then you just go home.
Exactly.
And I just thought, wow, you come to comic convention, you get things like sketches and people signing things for nothing. It's it's just it's another world.
You get signature collectors as well that will go and sell things on and stuff. That's quite a big industry, isn't it? I think Mark Hoppus was somebody asked to sign a copy of Cheshire Cat, and they were like, name 3 songs on the album, and they couldn't do it. So he was like, I'm not signing it then.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? From Blink-182. I mean, that's.
I mean, when I was I got to admit, when I was at the Walking Dead show, because it was obviously more to do with the show rather than the comic.
Book,
I reckon half the people in my queue didn't really know who I was, but they could just see the queue was slightly shorter than the queue to say, Norman Reedus. And they'd queue up because, we can do that in, an hour as opposed to the 3 hours I've got to queue for the big name, Hollywood actor.
Yeah. And I've seen people absolutely enlightened to see you as well. I mean, I'm sorry to mention Comic Salopia. I mean, Shane Chebsey, great guy. But the one when they did in the castle, I was there with my son and you signed some things for him. That was really nice. Thank you. But there were people queuing up and people absolutely you could see overjoyed to see you. And I saw that at your Comic Con as well with some of the voice actors and the gentleman that did Ed and Eddie. I've forgotten his name. I'm really sorry. There were people there that were so happy to see him, but he was talking back to him and oh my God, that's amazing. And he was signing things for him and he was recording things for him. That engagement with the fans is what it's all about, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You've got to be, you go to these things to meet the fans. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If you're not going for any other reason, I think you're going for the wrong reasons. And that's the reason I do it. There's no other. Why else would I go to? Well, it's quite nice to go to the pub afterwards with your contemporaries, but apart from that, it's why else would you do that day? There is no other reason because you don't know. You work in a kind of a bubble at home, and you're not aware how your work's perceived, how well it's doing or whatever until the publisher tells you or whatever. And generally,
how many sales have we done?
Generally depressingly, but the only way to engage a reaction is to go to these sort of things and meet the people that
Have you ever had people come up to you and go, "Yeah, I thought that one was like, oh, no one's going to do that, though, are they?" You know what I mean?
People will. I've seen it.
Maybe online, but in person, like.
Well, there are certain fans with no filter.
Really?
Let's put it that way.
Wow.
I couldn't imagine that. I can't recall.
Queue up in line for an hour just to tell someone that their work is terrible. I mean, that was awful, isn't it? Yeah, I couldn't imagine it. One of the things I want to talk to you about, Nick, is divas and making sure people are happy. Because I know that you bring people in from all over the UK and all over the world,
right? And
you got people come with riders and want to be happy. They want this, they want that, they want to be paid this. You've had a bit of experience now. You've done this a couple of times since the last time. Yeah. How much have you learned from that? What are the good things and the hard things about that as an experience?
The good things are always have a contract, so you know what you're supposed to do, what they're supposed to do. I've learned that, but really, I picked up the Eddie guy from the airport, from Manchester Airport, and drove him down to Shrewsbury. Most of these people are really, really nice people. I picked up Donald Duck as well from the train station. Really nice people. They want to entertain. They want to be good to you. I don't think I've actually had a really bad experience with any of the VIPs so far. I don't think so.
What's I've seen Empire Records. He's like, I don't like the chair. I don't like the chair. And you have to change the chair. What's it called? Oh, what's the singer called in that film? It's one of my favorite films, and I've just forgotten his name. But yeah, you do get people that are very particular about certain things.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been lucky so far. I think in the fact that all the VIPs I've had have been pretty good, and they've been great, and most of them haven't needed that much attention. But that's because I try and look after them. They get their hotel room the night before, and they get fed on the day and stuff. So they are well looked after by me.
Do you have a rider, Charlie? Do you ever like, I want cotton sheets on the walls?
No, I'm just no. I'd feel weird. You just think of, you're talking another level of
ego,
stardom, aren't you? When they have riders, and you do just think, where at one point in your life, where'd you get to that you have to have a rider?
I think Tom Hardy's has just been released, I think just the other day. He had 27 items on his thing.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, 27 items.
And I bet you he doesn't use them all. That's the craziest thing.
I think somebody said they do that to see if the companies are taking it seriously. Do you know what I mean? And I get that, but ask for a picture of Goofy in a frame or something. Do you know what I mean? Like something silly just to show that they pay. Do you know what I mean? Don't be like,
attention.
I want a bucket of fried chicken and a masseuse. So
well, the best rider I've ever heard of, I met Charlie Cox, the guy who plays Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
Lovely guy, absolutely lovely guy, and it's a bit jarring because of course he's English and it's not in the show,
and he can see in real life.
He's not blind in real life.
But the best rider I ever heard of was his, which was to keep his mum plied with cups of tea the entire day of the con. I thought that was
love that. I'm going to give that a clap, Charlie.
Nice. How English.
Yeah.
We went to the Telford Comic Con a couple of years ago, and he was my son dressed up as Daredevil. Look, I let my son
to Telford.
He came to Telford, yeah. It was the Welsh Comic Con. It was the Wales Comic Con in Telford, which I always find a bit strange, but hey, whatever. And I let my son watch Daredevil with adult supervision because he loves comic books. I know it's violent, but it's comic book violence and
sweary.
Yeah. Well, I've been listening to Wu-Tang with my son since he was a baby. Right. My ethos with music is listen to music as it comes, as long as it's not like drugs and sex and like those kind of things. I think Wu-Tang is for children. I mean, but he went dressed up as Daredevil, the black with the white, the rope around his arms.
Oh, right, yeah.
He got to ask Daredevil how he could see through his beanie, and he was lovely on stage. Like, and I've got that on my TikTok. That's got like tens of thousands of views. It's really nice. I think it's really nice when you meet someone that reciprocates your energy in a nice way. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes when you go like, oh my God, I'm a big fan, and they're like, he just kills it dead. Do you know what I mean? When we talk about that, you got to make sure you bring the right people to Comic Con. Yeah. How do you make sure you don't bring one of those people that are just going to suck all the oxygen out of the room, or be awkward, or not be great with the kids and stuff?
That's a good question. I suppose you might hear that sort of thing on the grapevine, because there's con organizer Facebook groups and stuff, but I suppose they just wouldn't get any business because the word would spread. I think that's how that would work. They just wouldn't get any business. So, and ultimately, as Charlie said, you're there for the fans. It's a service for the fans. There are people known because I'm a big Trekkie, so there are people known in the Star Trek universe who are not the most interactive. I've had the good fortune to meet William Shatner a couple of times, and he is just an autographing machine. He won't even look up; he'll just sign his name, and he could probably pop out 20 a minute, and that's for $150 each.
Oof, I was going to say 20 a minute, lightweight.
Yeah. So there are some people who have different, but then on the other side of that spectrum, you've got Richard Dean Anderson, who spends with every fan a good 5
He can talk. I've seen him. I know he can talk.
Right. And you have to be aware of that, and you have to plan that accordingly, because if you sell too many autographs, then he's there till 1 o'clock in the morning. So there are people who make the extra effort, people who are great, but I mean, I've only really had one bad experience with meeting one of my heroes, but perhaps they're having a bad day. Ultimately they are only human.
Yeah. I've interviewed people from all around the world. I mean, I don't think I've had. I mean, we had some people that come with like conditions, like Brian Graydon, for example, who ran MTV for 13 years, who's really one of the co-founders of South Park. Really nice guy, but there was lots going on in the background with him that I can't talk about. And they're like, you can't ask this question. You've got to avoid that. And Carol Baskin, we interviewed from the Tiger King. Like, she's a suing machine. She'll sue anybody for saying the wrong thing. So we have to be careful not to mention anything like that. We wanted to talk about conservation and what she does. Yeah. And she brought up the TV show. So we started talking about that in a very gentle way. So there are certain things you got to avoid with people, and certain like topics and things. And with a Comic-Con, it's a very, like we just talked about, people can say, come up to your desk and say anything, can't they? How do you marshal that? How do you make sure people aren't basically being a dick at Comic-Con and saying horrible things to your people?
We've got people around in the rooms all the time anyway. So we've got volunteers and stuff. And so I think a guest only has to call one of us over, and obviously we've got security there as well. Just call one of us over, and we'll deal with it in the best way that we can, whether that's because sometimes they come with their agents as the person that they're sat next to. So whether that's having a chat with their agent, or it's just saying to them, look, can you just whatever you said, can you tone it down, or whatever it is. But in terms of the people themselves, I'm not aware of a bad experience.
Oh, that's good.
But as a VIP, if you come to the con, just flag down one of my guys, and we'll handle that.
Cool. And Charlie talks about Comic-Cons sometimes being a bit soulless and just being like autograph like factories. How do you create the perfect balance of, yes, go and get your signatures and your autographs and things like that, but also break it up so that it's a fun experience for people? Now, you've got a great task now of you're doing it in town, 2 different venues. Yeah. What's the correct recipe to making sure that that's done right, and how have you learned that?
Well, let me introduce you to the Mega Draw. So the Mega Draw is a free to enter competition. It's a bit like the I don't know whether you watch the Gadget Show, and they put on thousands of pounds worth of tech, and one person wins all of it.
All right.
So it's going to be a bit like that. So every business that's there is going to contribute something to the Mega Draw, and we'll put something in as well, as will Mega Draw Collectibles. And if you go and get a stamp from every table in both venues, you can enter the Mega Draw and win the whole lot.
Oh, so it's like, sorry, this is going to show up my age. So it's like Cracker Jack. when you from like
I didn't mean to laugh then, Char.
There's like when the kid at the end of Crackerjack would win all these
board games and
that whole sort of when I was a kid, that was my goal.
Fun house for me. That's fun house.
Win all the games and action figers and stuff.
We used to do something with Drawn. When Drawn first started, I'd get like a little piece of all the artists, and we put them into a bag or something, and then we'd raffle them up at the end. It's a very good idea.
Yeah, and that I think would encourage people to go to sort of both venues as well, and to just go and talk to people and just say hi, because, I'll provide all the stamps. So you just got to stamp this thing for them and then send them on their way. But as long as you get a stamp from every business that's there, every person that's there, then you can enter the draw and you could win a lot of cool stuff.
I have to make sure. Like, we'll have a studio there again this year, so I'm gonna have to make sure I might have to pay someone to go and get stamps for me.
But also,
Timmy to do it.
I'm sorry, you were talking about things being soulless.
Like chemistry, yeah.
Chemistry. One of the things I look at is what would keep me at a con all day. Because I go to various regional cons and I look around the stalls and I may or may not get an autograph. And that's all there is. So I think, okay, well, what would keep me there all day? Because otherwise I'm home in a couple of hours. And it's the activities, it's the cosplay competition, it's the panels. I'm a big one for going to the Q&A panels at Comic Cons. That's why they're there. There's the activities. So we've got Joel doing the Shropshire Dungeon Master. He's doing his hosted gaming again. We've got the Warhammer guys there with their models. We've got a guy who does a bit like Warhammer, but they are like historical rather than sort of Warhammer.
He's banned from the Shrewsbury Biscuit, by the way, Joel.
Is he?
It's too much awesomeness. I'm sorry, you can't do that. It's too much charisma. You blow the speakers and everything, it's too much charisma.
And we've got a face painter, and we've got like someone who does like glitter tattoos in there as well. So we're trying to have something there for everyone, and you can take from that what you want, and hopefully from that build an experience that's fun for you and perhaps not too soulless, because you're there, you're talking to people. And I think what for me puts the soul into events is the people. And as long as you're interacting with the people, I think that's where the soul comes from.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really nice. And what capacity are you going to be at with the show this year? Are you going to be, you got a table? Are you going to be doing sign-ins? Are you doing
Nick, what capacity am I going to be in there?
I love that. Where am I today? Who are these people?
Just point me in a direction. I'll just
Charlie's got a table.
Dutifully do whatever is required.
You have a table, and I'll also ask you to take part in a Q&A as well with other comic book luminaries like Mike Perkins.
Well, there is... to anyone that doesn't know, Shrewsbury has become a bit of a hub for comics people. There are now currently 6 comic book artists and 2 comic book writers that live in the general, most of us live within the sort of the Shrewsbury town environment. Just one of us, i.e. John Wagner, creator of Judge Dredd, lives about
Big John Wagner, aye.
So, we're becoming, we've just recently this year added Michael Lark, an American artist, to this ever burgeoning list of supreme.
You'll have to hit me up with his deets. We'll get him on the biscuit.
Yeah, Michael Lark will be there at the con as well, so you can interview him there as well.
He has escaped America.
He has.
He's escaped. He tunneled under the Atlantic.
Well, it felt like it.
And of course, that is why I'm keen for this Comic Con, just to stay true to the comic roots. There'll always be comic guys there, and it won't be, I've been to massive cons and you see the editor of the Dandy shoved in a corner somewhere, I don't want that. I want there to be a balance between the comics and that creativity, and then the media people as well. So you'll always have comic book artists, and they'll always be centre stage at Shrewsbury Comic Con. Do
you know what threw me? And this is going to sound really disrespectful. The last 2 Comic Cons of yours I've been to, it's always shocked me how busy it is. Not just how busy it is, but how constantly busy it is as well. You bring in a lot of people.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, that we're hoping for a bit more as well, because obviously being in the town centre, we'll have the cosplayers outside the venue, dragging people in. We're looking at, there's lots of things that they're planning that I can't really talk about yet, but there's lots of things that we're doing, and we'll hopefully make it even more busier than you've seen previously.
Oh, nice. Well, this podcast isn't, what have you got embargoes on things for the next couple of weeks? Because this isn't going to go out for the next 2 weeks. So if there's anything you want to tell people about that you don't know about yet, it won't go out for 2 weeks. So, I mean, what can you tell us about? Is there anything that you
can say, stay tuned for more media and TV announcements.
Yeah.
and stay tuned for, I think I might say, more activities and that to do as well.
Good. That's really exciting because I expect it's going to be a very busy day. I mean, like you did a really good job last time because you had the gaming tent downstairs, which I lost my son to, by the way. He was meant to be my co-host that day. And I was like, where's Timmy? My wife was like downstairs in the gaming tent. Like he was just gone. I mean, we interviewed some really good people last year. I mean, we had a really good time, but you put a gaming tent in front of a 10-year-old, he's gone. You know what I mean? And also, Charlie, I want to talk to you about the town as well with when it comes to, you know, you talk about we're a hub now of creators like writers and artists, and you're championing this small little, no offense, Comic Con in this town. You could go anywhere and do anything.
It's the only one I can walk to.
What's the importance of this for you as somebody who's got a legacy to I don't know, to pass on? I guess. I mean, is it?
Well, twofold really. It's what I said before about, you know, supporting the smaller cons, which I much prefer, because, you know, it's a more personal experience. And, you know, again, no offense, you do get less people because, you know, you haven't got hundreds of people queuing for you where you can't spend much time with them. You know, you can spend a decent amount of time, and, you know, I'll do a sketch. I'm quite happy to do that, you know, like for free. So, you know, I liked, aren't I wonderful? But it's nice to, you know, give back. It's as simple as that. You know, people have bought my comic, people have bought my book, etc., etc. So, you know, it's a very small effort to sign a few things and do a quick 10-minute sketch in something, you know, it's nothing. So that's the one thing. And the other thing I've completely forgotten about now. It was going to be twofold, but I now have completely lost.
It's your hometown as well, you know.
Of course, it's my hometown, so I'm more than happy to support anything, you know, community based. So my wife, for instance, is, you know, sort of volunteers for the Bellevue Arts Festival, which is
big shout out to the Bellevue Arts Festival.
Absolutely, and again, it's all about giving back to the community, of which we are very happy to be part of.
It's one thing that I've loved. It's been a massive privilege with the Shrewsbury Biscuit as I've seen artists of old and all artists of new come along. You know, there's been artists that have really, I mean, the Bellevue Arts Festival is a great catalyst for bringing artists out the woodwork, you know.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to Jane Pickworth, who's my friend. She's like picked up a palette, picked up a brush and just started going for it. Now she's an artist.
Well, if you scrape away the surface of where we live, it's amazing how many artists are around here. Yeah, not just comic book artists, but, you know, fine artists, sculptures, etc., etc. It's a very artistic place, so it's great. You know, it's a privilege to live here just because of that. Out of everything else, you know. Me
and Vix had a meeting at our local coffee shop yesterday, and I was sat there and I was like, there's James Warman over there. He's one of the best photographers in Shrewsbury. There's Kerry there. She runs Bloom around the corner, which helps young children over there. And Charlie Adlard usually sits in that corner there. You might see Mike Perkins. You might see, like, Shrewsbury's amazing for it. There's so many, like I'm Shropshire on the whole. I mean, you know, when bit blow smoke up Shrewsbury's backside. I mean, the county itself is fantastic, you know. And the Hive's been saved now. I think they've done a great job.
Oh, no, we raised, at the end of the day, we surpassed the figure that they needed. So, you know, okay, they're still a charity. There's still challenges out there, and they're getting harder rather than easier. But for the time being, we're all right. So that's good.
The door's still open.
The doors are still open. Yeah.
We need to do more with the Hive. Apologies. I mean, I've been invited to really nice events, but like they usually fall in when I'm working, or like because I work 4 on 4 off now, I have to like organize my life into 4 days. Like, so that's my personal life, the podcast life. I've got to edit in there, sleep as well sometimes. So it's really hard to sort of organize my life around that. I mean, if somebody wants to pay me to do this for a living, that's different. I mean, the door's open for everybody then. But but I think I do want to reach out to the Hive and do more, because what they do is they give young people a space to go out and be creative and flow and do the thing that they were, I guess, born to do. You know.
Yeah, and I think that sort of creativity is missing from schools now. There's so much focus on passing tests and being good at math, science, English.
Podcasts. Podcasts. Content creation. That is like the in thing now. Like people want to do that.
And in times of hardship, the first things that get hit are the arts. So it's.
I don't know why we do that as a society, though.
Because we can't define it. That's the main reason.
It really pisses me off, and I'm keeping that in.
It's easy to define maths. It's easy to define science. It's easy.
Business,
people can understand that. Whereas there's so many different aspects to how good art can be, but that's the problem. There's too many aspects to it that you can't sort of just put into one sentence. So of course it's instantly just sort of vague and kind of amorphous, and because of that it suffers. It's crazy, and it does so much good for people.
How do you define art? Somebody made something that you like. Yeah, well,
it's almost impossible. You can be very vague and go, "Oh, it does really good for lots of people," whether it's psychological or various other mental health sort of things. But it's just that's its main reason. It just and I'd just like to say also with the Hive. There is a book out there which I did last year called Coffee Shop,
which we did a whole podcast about.
We did, but I'd like to remind people it's still on sale. So if you do want to contribute towards saving or keeping the Hive going, all you have to do is go into various coffee shops, which is House Coffee, Coffee House, and Sea Suns in town, depending on what area you're in, and buy a copy.
Is it still on the Soden Gallery as well? Still selling that?
No, the Soden Gallery don't sell it anymore, but you can get it from the Hive directly as well, whether you go on their website or literally pop into the Hive. They've got copies. But
it's a great coffee book table. You can leave it out there. It looks amazing.
And it's 20 quid, and that whole 20 quid literally goes towards the Hive. So I don't take anything. No one else takes anything. So you'll be rest assured if you buy it, it's £20 to the Hive.
Well done for that. Well done. Seriously. It's a really great cause. And, when it comes to these kind of things, it is about the children. It's all about the kids. Comic Con is a great opportunity for kids to be inspired.
Yeah.
Are you seeing this at Comic Cons? Are you seeing kids going and be like, oh my God, like...
I'm seeing faces light up when they walk in, and then they see that people dress as their favorite characters. They go to have selfies with those characters, and then that maybe sparks something in themselves. And I think another area of creativity we don't really talk about very much is cosplay, because creating those, whatever it is they're wearing, whether it's armor or it's a uniform or whatever it is, that requires some degree of creativity. And that's another way I think that we can encourage creativity in young people.
Do you reckon I should cosplay?
Why not?
What could I cosplay as? I mean, I can grow my beard out and do like God of War.
Make a good sort of Viking type, something out of Game of Thrones.
Maybe I can pale my skin and go as Uncle Fester. I don't know. Put a big hood on. I don't know. Maybe that'd be good.
The important thing about cosplay is that you have a good time doing it. You
have fun.
So
I always think about the guy at MCM Con. So my first MCM Con, we were just talking about. Yeah. I'd never done a Comic Con before. It was when I was doing Thor's Game when I interviewed you, and I had no idea the scale of a Comic Con. I'd never been to one before. Thought I was going to be approached as kind of a pest because I'm press. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. So I walked in. They were very, very friendly. They were like, "Here's the green room. There's the Wi-Fi password. There's some food here. There's the green room there. You avoid that. That's where all the stars are going. And if you follow me in 5 minutes, we'll be interviewing Batman from Jason O'Mara." And I was like, "What?" So I mean, that was my experience. And there was this gentleman there. I was going around and getting photos and interviewing people, cosplayers, and there's a guy, a perfect Jason Todd red hood mask and outfit. He had the guns and the belt and the brown jacket. He looked amazing. And I interviewed him. It was great. And I was walking and he followed me into and I was thinking, you ought to be here. He sat down and he started doing interviews with me. He was part of the press. It just felt good being there. And you see people stand taller and upright when they're doing that.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember as well that cosplay isn't just those perfect outfits, those perfect uniforms. It's throwing something on that looks vaguely like something.
I know, those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Those are definitely the best ones. When I was first starting out, we had the thing, it was called the UCAC, the UK Comic Art Convention, which was in London, just off from Russell Square in London. And I used to go there every year. And the highlight of everyone's day was the costume parade on the Sunday, because it was all handmade. It was brilliant. Some of the ideas, fantastic. I always remember 2 guys came as Galactus's boots, for instance. One guy came as the whole Fantastic Four. He was literally dressed as Reed Richards and had a big pole with 3 other mannequins dangling from this pole. I remember Supergirl and her amazing pets. So there's like a pantomime horse with just a cape and things like that. Those are the ones that I love. Yeah. The ones that are just a bit silly.
A bit tongue-in-cheek, a bit funny, yeah.
Guys turning up as, well, not many people remember Milk and Cheese, but even Dorkin characters. So it was just guy dressed as cheese and the guy dressed as a cardboard milk carton. All good. Oh, and I remember Gotham City as well. Guy came dressed as Gotham City.
The city itself.
It was literally his face, I think, was the moon. I can't remember exactly, but he just had a massive cardboard surround around his. I don't know how he was carrying it, but the highlight of it is he had a torch which he just put to the cardboard, turned it on. It was the bat signal.
Love that.
And nice homemade, fantastic stuff. I mean. One of my biggest disappointments actually was last year I was at the Bologna Comic Con. It was unfortunate titled NerdCon. But I was a guest with my publishers over there, and there was it was very big on sort of manga style cosplay. And when I was there was a stall just selling manga costumes. And you just thought, oh, so you can just buy this stuff. And it was like, oh, no, that sort of takes away the magic of it. Yeah. I was assuming everyone walking around dressed, with the long hair and the massive swords were sort of, they'd all been stitching it together at home and everything.
A lot.
Don't get me wrong, a lot of it do. But then it sort of bursts your bubble a bit when you see a stand selling this
cloud outfit from Final Fantasy.
You can just buy it. You spend a couple of grand and there you are. Bing! And it's like, well, you're not going to win. If you enter a competition, I'm not going to give you any prize money because you just bought it. So the homemade ones are the best.
The 3D printed Iron Man suits and stuff that move. I mean, some of them are amazing.
Yeah. I tell you what, speaking of cosplay competitions, I saw a photo recently. I think it's going around social media at the moment. Of some people from a Star Trek convention in 1974 dressed as in really, really good cosplay. This is back in the day before they could, it was on VHS. They could pause it. It was a appointment to watch TV. They'd just be catching fleeting glimpses and scribbling stuff down, and then putting the thing together from that. And that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the lengths people go into. So I mean, listeners, if you've never cosplayed before, I mean, by all means, as a family event to go and cosplay, that'd be great. I mean, you can come as the Incredibles, you can come as the Addams Family. There's so many family things that you can do as a cosplay. It'd be fun. I mean, I feel like it was the prison, working at the prison in Shrewsbury, where we put on these events where we explain to people that the more you put into an event like this, the prison breaks and the Halloween scare mazes, the more you put into an event like this, the more you get out of it. So if you walk around oh, that's crap, what's that, who's that? If you tell yourself you're gonna have a bad time, you're gonna have a bad time. Whereas if you really, really get stuck into it, you're gonna really. I mean, Comic Cons, there are artists there you're not gonna necessarily see again. Do you know what I mean? So it's good to make the most out of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What have been for you over the last couple of years the biggest sort of challenges when it comes to putting an event like this together?
Good question.
What's made you pull all your hair out? You know what I mean?
I think towards the time of the con, and I timed this really brilliantly both years. In my day job, I work as a psychology lecturer, and I've managed to put the date of the con at my busiest period in terms of marking work. And so that is a bit of a challenge for me. And other than that, I think perhaps this is like a bit of a me thing, because if I ask somebody a question, I expect for some reason a response immediately, or I feel more comfortable with their immediate response. And of course, when you're working with agents, you ask them a question, They have to ask the talent. Talent gets back to them. It's a long time waiting for an answer for things.
Yeah.
I want to get the answer and go off and do the thing I need to do. So for me personally, that's been probably the thing that I've had to get used to now.
Oh, do you prefer the personal touch when it comes to things like that, or do you have to work with an agent as well? Because you're quite personable, Charlie. I can ask you something, and you'd be like, "Yeah, okay."
I don't have a bloody agent.
No.
Tell me any comic person that, unless you. Oh, I can't mention his name because he's been cancelled now. But you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of any comics person that has an agent. We're all. I mean, a good example is. Years ago, again, at height of The Walking Dead, I did a signing in Waterstones in Manchester in the Trafford Centre. And I got there and I had no sort of, shall we say, hospitality from Waterstones. And I'm not blaming Waterstones for that at all, because Waterstones as a bookshop were used to people, arranging it with their agents, i.e. the book, whatever publisher it was, and it would be done all through the publisher. Whereas, so they do all the hospitality for the creator. So the guy comes, the person comes and just signs the books or whatever. The books are provided by by the publisher. Blah 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 blah. They go out and get them a sandwich or drink or whatever. Yeah, I literally just got a bottle of water. And I had to ask for that from Waterstones. But at the end of the day, I realised afterwards that, that's because that's what they're used to.
But this is where a writer comes in handy.
Well, yeah, but
I want a sandwich at least.
I didn't even consider that when I said yes. And I can't remember how I got to do that signing, because I wouldn't have gone to Waterstones and asked. So they must have come to me.
Must be a middleman.
But anyway, so it's just a good example of how we don't really have that kind of thing as artists or writers,
Too much can get lost in translation though, can't it? You know what I mean? I guess there's a middleman. It's good to be able to just ask people directly. I mean, that's back in the USUC days when we used to go to these interviews that I was talking about, that's how we used to just go directly to the people. And how I used to do it, sneaky, is I'd go on Cameo. People that are selling videos on Cameo are usually like people that they want people to get in touch with them because there are opportunities out there for them. So if somebody's got a Cameo account, I'd be like, oh, do you want to come on a podcast? And they'd be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, that's just...
I mean, you can get pretty much in touch with most of us fairly directly. It's not that hard to get on contact details. I mean, we're not, we're a humble bunch of people.
At the same time, don't go chasing Charlie down the street if you see him running in. Come on, guys. I want to say thank you to Mike Perkins as well for nearly making me cry last time I came. Do you remember this?
Tell me more.
Me and him have had this beef over the last couple of years over Constantine, the pronunciation of the name. I was like, he's an artist and he's worked with Constantine, and I've watched the movies where they say Constantine. I've watched a TV show where they say Constantine, and I'm a big fan of Mike's work. I'm a fan of yours as well, Charlie, by the way. But
all right.
I've got a Mike Perkins wall, and I was like, there was a beautiful piece of like constant.
You got a wall of my stuff.
I don't want to. I want to pester you, Charlie. You can draw me some stuff if you like. There was beautiful like piece of Constantine leaning against the car, and there's like, it's just so beautiful. And I was admiring it, and he came wandering over towards the end as I'm packing up my stuff. And he goes, here, you can have it. Only if you pronounce it as Constantine from now on.
I remember this now, yeah.
And he wrote on it, it's Constantine on the actual piece. So now I'm contractually obliged to call it Constantine. So if any Americans want to argue with me about the pronunciation, I've got the proof at home. So
makes sense. You put an E after it. Between, you have to pronounce it.
Trust America to come in and change things. Constantine. But yeah, I mean, those are the beautiful moments that you get at a smaller Comic Con like this, and I don't think you get that at MCM or anything. Like the Hall H, the San Diego Comic Con or whatever. You're gonna get like thousands and thousands. We've seen it. We've seen the panels, especially with the Robert Downey Jr. reveal and all that sort of stuff. There's tens of thousands of people there.
I can't be bothered with all that. No.
I sort of look at that and think that must be an absolute nightmare to organise.
And this is a great point. I mean, we talk about events growing in Shrewsbury. That's how I started this podcast, isn't it? You know, you talk about Beth Heath, who started off with the Ludlow Food Festival. Now she's done this amazing job with Oktoberfest food festivals, and she put a Ferris wheel in the middle of town last week. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's doing amazing things. You got Peter Metcalf, who started off with the UK Proms, very small event, which has grown and grown and grown. Now they've got a stage which is like 3 times the size of what they got at Attingham Park. They're going to Eton School. They're going to Windsor. They're taking like. It starts from an idea and something small. Have you got a plan for like the next few years? Are you like, is this going the way you wanted it to go? Are you pleasantly surprised how it's growing? How's that going for you?
I'm hoping to grow Shrewsbury Comic Con, and I'm hoping to, do it for as long as people want it to be there. Absolutely, yeah. So I'd like to grow it and have it every year and build it into something. Just keep building it. Because I said to Mike Perkins when I first announced the con. The first con years ago, Mike got in touch with me and said, what are your plans, sort of thing. And I'm like, well, I'm not Monopoly, I'm not MCM. Let's start small and see how we go from there. And I think that's the way to do it. That's the way to sort of build it up in terms of you get more experience. You can do a few more things every year and just see how things go.
Yeah, I think there is a need for it in this town. As we talk about innovation, we're talking about creativity and trying to encourage people to get out there and do these kind of things. I think what you're doing is great because, I mean, Shane did a great job with Comic Salopia. It was great where it was. Obviously, it's not going anymore. You filled in that gap because there needs to be something like that in Shrewsbury. I think we are the town of Charles Darwin, for Christ's sake. And it's an important place when it comes to creativity. So
yeah, I think it's important to say that I had a big chat with Shane when I first started this. I didn't want to step on his toes, and I wasn't really.
No, I don't think he'd ever take it like that. He's not such a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy, and I wasn't quite sure whether Comic Salopia was still going or not. So it was good to have that sort of conversation with him. But yeah, no, it's good guy Shane. Good guy Shane. Sorry.
Yeah. This is. I'm really, really encouraged. Right. So what we need to do is we need to work out dates and how people can get involved and find out all the information they need to do. So
if you come along to St. Mary's Church or the lower floor of the Darwin on July the 19th, just come along and enjoy the con. That's all I need people to do. You can get announcements via our social media. So Shrewsbury Comic Con on Facebook, Shrewsbury.Comic Con on Instagram. Just search for Shrewsbury Comic Con. You'll see us there. So just keep updated on social media. Tell your friends. The more people that come, the more likely I am to do it again the next year.
And I want to say as well, we're being very ambitious today. As I'm recording this, Vix is at the Hickories as we speak with SWIB, Shropshire Women's in Business. She's recording a podcast there. So we can be in 2 places at the same time. So this is what we plan to do at Shrewsbury Comic Con. At the panel, I'm going to have a mic. I've bought mic stands especially so that we can record the panels and we record the questions that people come from the audience come and ask. As well as we'll have a studio there, we're recording our own interviews. So we're going to be in 2 different places, recording lots of content at the same time. Just please, nobody break my stuff, okay? So the Shrewsbury Biscuit is going to be a big part of this, and I'm very, very privileged. Like I said, the last time we did this, it genuinely enlightened me to the point where I was like, no, I need to keep doing this. There's a reason why I do this, and that was the genuine reason, And Charlie as well for being such a good supporter of the Biscuit. You've been on so many times.
I have, haven't I? Are you bored of me yet?
No, never.
Good.
No. I was trying to find some absurd thing for you to say, and I haven't got one yet. So I mean,
you want something absurd?
But yeah, also as well, thank you to the guys from Shropshire Business Suite for letting us use this amazing podcast studio. It's so cool, isn't it, to have this right in the heart of Shrewsbury?
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And we can do workshops there, Charlie. You can say, you can use that big space out there to be like, this is how we draw a zombie, guys.
I'll never escape.
Do you draw zombies in your dreams and your nightmares? Are you? Because people must ask you to do walkers all the time now.
Well, the irony is, I try and distance. Well, I don't try and distance myself from it because I know, I know it'll always be the number one thing that I'll be known for, which is absolutely fine. But if somebody just says, "Oh, draw something," you don't have to draw Walking Dead. Draw something else, and I'll just completely blank out and then just do a zombie anyway. it's one of those things where you just think, I can't think of anything else. Oh no, and then you just draw a zombie.
I think Alfie, my son, asked for a Rick, I think, and you were like, okay, you have to do a Rick for a change. That's really nice. And you and Robert Kirkman have moved on. You're doing your own things now at the moment. Yep. I mean, I'd like to give you an opportunity to. Is there anything you're working on at the moment to tell people about that, or are you having a bit of a break?
No, never a break. Well, the thing is, I suppose you could say I've not worked a day in my life. So you're
doing what you love.
It's what I love. So I'm at my most relaxed when I'm drawing. So the worst times quite often is when I haven't got anything to do and I'm like a just twitchy mess walking around the house. So
a bit like me, really.
Annoyingly, there's a couple of things I can't talk about. But I'm doing a book with a writer friend of mine called Ben Dixon, who sent me this amazing script called "The Mountains Belong to Us." And after I did Coffee Shop, and a lot of that was drawn in sort of these nice high-end pencils called Blackwing pencils, and they're beautiful things to draw with. And I remember thinking, it would be really good to do a comic like this at some point. And then Ben sent me this script, and I was like, this could be the opportunity. Not only was it a great script, I could see how you could do it in this sort of format. So I've been drawing that the last sort of 6 months or so. It's a 190-page book. We have got a publisher for it. I was quite happy to do it on spec, but a publisher sort of came into view as we were doing it, so it was kind of quite fortuitous. It's a really lovely story. About.
That's a really lovely story.
No, it is totally out of my comfort zone because it's about a shepherdess who takes a flock of sheep across the mountains, pursued by wolves.
Okay.
And they're all talking animals. I've never drawn talking animals. So it's
I love this.
I was quite excited because it was out of my comfort zone. But they're not kind of amorphic talking animals. They're sort of, I draw them traditionally just...
The animals are farthing wood, like they can talk to each other, but not humans.
I try not to make the mouths move in a human way either. It has to be sort of, the animals are very much realistic, but just speech balloons are coming out.
I love that. Oh, badgers can speak fox.
It's
okay.
Not, I mean, it's really cleverly done. It's not a talking animal book, and it is at the same time.
They're kind of communicating. I love that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Yeah, no. So it's kind of experimental because it's not nothing like I've done before. It's more closer to something like White Death, which was a book I did many decades ago with a local comics book writer here, Robbie Morrison.
I've interviewed him.
Yeah, and that was a World War I story set in the Italian Trentino mountain range between the Austro-Hungarians and the Italians, and that was drawn in charcoal and chalk. So it's very kind of similar in experimentation to that. So yeah, quite excited.
That's what I love about you, Charlie. The life drawing and the experimenting with different medias. Like, you're not just sticking to one style because it's the thing you do, and you're not like, I'm the Walking Dead guy, I'm going to do Walking Dead. You try different things and you experiment.
Well, it's nice to I don't like doing the same technique over and over again. I always approach each project and think, my first thought is, how am I going to do this? Whether it's digitally, like the mountains, like for pen or pencil on paper, various other techniques. So it just makes life more interesting.
Do you draw?
I do not. No.
Oh, so we get to observe genius in the room at Comic Con.
And also, just one quick plug as well, because there's Loop Fest is fast approaching.
I love Loop Fest. Big shout out to them.
I'm in a band called Cosmic Rays.
Yes, you are.
We are playing the Hive at 7:00. So please come along. And I'm just completely I've got no shame. So I'll say, if anyone wants anything signed, they can bring it to the gig. If I can get more audience put up with our band for half an hour. It's only half an hour. I'm more than happy to.
Is it Roach, the album you did? Which one's the one with
Cockroach.
the Cockroach? Love that. Love the artwork on that. It's so good.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm obviously being the only comic. We started off as a comic art band, a band of comics people, and now I am the only comics person in the band. So of course I have full control over the visuals, which is not to sound sort of a control freak at all, but it's great. So the last album I did completely domineer visually, shall we say. And it's very uncomic-y, I just love.
I bet your mates like it's so Charlie. This is so Charlie. I love that. Cosmic Rays are great, and in fact the Shrewsbury Biscuit used your music for so many years as the intro music. No, thank you for letting me use it.
What do you mean did?
We changed it.
What?
I changed it. We changed it to What I Miss by Josh Lobley from the Cherish Rovers, because I was going to go to Seasons, and the idea was
right, I'm done.
Like, I'm out of here. I mean, if we want to bring it back, we'll have to do a vote now. I mean, that's what we do. I love Josh.
We have new material.
Yeah. What happened was I was doing Seasons, and I wanted to focus on different artists for different seasons. Remember, I was doing Season Charlie, and I was like, I know a Charlie. You can do Season Charlie. Well, it was killing my algorithm, so I needed a normal music, and because we'd moved on from your music, I was like, I will stick with Josh's music because it's a beautiful song. It's about, the things you do when you're a kid and stuff,
Want some rock and roll in your life.
Give the Cosmic Rays a follow, though. Amazing band. Brilliant. All right, Nick, thank you so much for what you're doing. Not just for coming on the show, because that's great. Not just for inviting me along, but for inspiring people with what you're doing, because, you're doing this for free this year. You're letting people walk around and kids have a great day. And this day and age, that's kind of rare. It's all about the money, innit? Do you know what I mean? So, well done for doing that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Make sure you give Shrewsbury Comic Con a follow on the page, the event. Get it in your calendars, guys. Be a part of it. Give Charlie a follow. Go out and buy some copies of The Walking Dead book.
Yeah.
Make sure you read the book, okay? And give
watch the TV show, read the book. It's much better.
Still a big shout out to Stu, who's outside, who's like, I love that TV show. I was like, don't tell Charlie that. Have you finished it yet? Have you watched? Because I remember last time we spoke, you're like, I didn't even get past season 3.
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
No, I've still not got past
season 3, I think you said.
Four it was. But
you've gone on a bit.
No, that's it. I literally went to 4 and thought, I've had enough.
Well, I didn't get past season 1. So.
Hey, less than I've watched.
I got 2 with the Whisperers, and then I was kind of like, nah, I'm done.
Oh God, you could have just lasted a few more seasons.
Yeah,
then it been done.
That being said, some of the actors are great. But it's not really my thing. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you to Shropshire Business Week for letting us come here. Make sure you guys follow Shrewsbury Comic Con. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers, Alex.
Thank you.
So there we have it. That is our preview of Shrewsbury Comic Con 2025. Very, very exciting event because of how much it's grown and what it's got to offer as well. If you're looking for something to do that weekend for free, take the kids out and have a mosey on around, see some very famous faces in the world of maybe TV, comic books, see some cosplays, get the kids involved with some really cool events. Or if you're, an autograph collector yourself and you want to bring your comic book down, get it signed. Great. Also, I challenge you, if you are not from the comic book world, if you are not a geek and you're not, you don't frequent events like that, give it a go. Try something different, Try and be part of something new. Try and pick up something new. When it comes to movies, TV, especially music for me, I always try and find something new, a new thing to be a part of, which is nice, broaden your horizons. Right, so thank you so much to Charlie, to Nick, and of course Shropshire Business Week for letting us record there. I did mention at the beginning, give them a follow on social media. And also check out the website, especially if you want to, record your own podcast, or you have a business that you would like to, get involved with the Business Week, because there are lots of seminars, webinars, and great talks and events that they are holding there. Also, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Genuinely means an awful lot that you're listening to this. Give us a follow too. The Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast is on Facebook, Instagram, and we do quite a bit on TikTok too. So it'd be really good if you could follow us over there. And this episode as well was recorded at the exact same time that Vix was the other side of town at Hickory's. Speaking, she was at a great talking event for SWIB, Shropshire Women in Business, who you heard last week on the Biscuit. So we got that to come too. Those two podcasts recorded on the same day. So well done, Vix. And I can't wait to get that to you guys. Right, I'm going to leave you to it. This has been a long one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, I'll definitely see you guys at Shrewsbury Comic Con. I'll be there, microphones in hand, ready to collect some great content, see some smiles, and meet you lovely people. Until then, I'll leave you. Hope you enjoyed this one. Peace out.